In relation for our movie, we sort of chose to represent the teenagers of the population, I guess. It's not because we didn't want to represent adults or because we didn't want to represent children, but because we simply were teenagers, so we probably know more about that than anything else. I guess we used a typical teenager hoodie to represent a sort of rebellion. A teenager representing a lot of changes in personality, because that is what happened.
A choice that we made after filming was to not include our police character. You know, he was our age, he wasn't clothed as a policeman would be. And his voice wasn't really the intimidating interrogator type that we wanted. So we just pretty much cut him out of it and decided not to include the policeman to create more of a mysterious atmosphere to the product. Another choice we made was to not have the main character, Jacob, he seems stereotypical at the start, but once you start to watch what he's saying to the police camera, you start to understand his mindset a bit more and see that he's not a normal person.
As far as developing goes, we changed a lot since our prelim from main task. If you even compare any of the frames from our preliminary task compared to our main task, you'll see a huge difference in sound, lighting, and just focus. We learned from this by, in our main task, we shot everything about like 6 times or 5 times or something, just so that we had made sure that we would have enough film to go around and make sure. We chose different angles to get our shots from as well, and different varied of background noise, which we ended up using this nice little heartbeat type sound, which gets faster as it goes along, which I think adds some real suspense to it.
When we were trying to communicate our characters in the storyline, we obviously decided to have Rachel, the girl at the beginning, in really bright green grass, lots of sun, just to show a bit more innocence there. Whereas when the footage of me and Sam, the little fighting montage, is a lot darker, to try and create like a metaphor to represent a dark side of people that you don't really see.
As far as technology and ICT goes, we in our preliminary task we had a certain amount of black shots, like they just went straight into black and then went into picture again, which we didn't like at first. We thought it was stupid, but then we realised that if we had a series of them put together, we could make a sort of montage effect that was like didn't give too much away, but kept the watcher intrigued. So in the preliminary we messed up with that, but in the main task I think we did a fairly good job. As the speed of the dark spaces kind of decreased and got faster, it kind of built up momentum.
The production companies of Kid Adulthood and Adulthood, Shank is a new British crime drama as well. They're quite similar in the fact that Adulthood mainly focuses on prison and coming out of prison, whereas I said what you were going to say.
Just
Kid Adulthood and Adulthood, Shank, possibly Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels maybe, as they're very, very British and very crime orientated, which is what ours is sort of about.
As far as challenging real media products goes, Kid Adulthood and Adulthood were sort of a really big inspiration for us. So we thought a movie similar to that, but more about being in prison than coming out of prison. That's kind of what we're basing it at, aiming for our film to be like.
The police, obviously we didn't include him, but that could obviously show that they're intimidating, because you don't get to see them, and something you can't see is obviously scarier than something you can, so yeah. One thing I've definitely learned in the progression from our preliminary to our main task was in order to keep the audience interested, you had to constantly keep changing the shots and the angles etc. And in our preliminary, we didn't do that. We left shots on too long. They ran over time, which would just disinterest the audience. They get bored of it. So it's important to just keep constantly switching, just to keep them interested.
I think what I learned most about in between the two preliminary and main task was our continuity changed a lot, which is sort of related to what he's saying by the whole letting shots on too long. That kind of can completely ruin the continuity of it. But when you get like a sequence from our main task, you can fall into it, and you can just let it take over you, and it's watchable compared to what you've got in our preliminary task, which is jumping all over the place with different colours, different settings, different 180 degree rule, not followed to 60 degree too. So we changed that in our main task. We made it better. We made it more continuitable. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Well, you understand what I'm saying here, so I guess thank you for listening.